love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't stop, just give me the don't stop. I'm so gone, no I'm never turning back. I won't stop, I'ma fight until there's nothing left. It's so what? You're gonna be hurting bad, cause I've been to hell and back. You don't wanna make me mad, I stay strong. You will never see me crack. And if you get in my way, you're gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math, when I hate I attack. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't stop, just give me the don't
Hello, hi everybody, Blackberry, Leo, Casey, Yohanan, and Johnny. So we are, it seems, a very small party of people this evening. That means you guys get the scoop, so to speak, right? You get to be the first ones to hear and know. In reality, there's not much to know, as sad as it is today, within the real context of the market and where we have been residing and retesting for some time. Sadly, it appears to be mostly a nothing burger, but not exactly. There is some stuff there to know. Hello, Pulse. Good to see you there as well. Hello, good evening. Good evening to everyone who's there in the behind the scenes there and is not speaking. Good evening to you as well. So it may appear as we are been stuck at this sort of range and diagonal, I would say almost this wedge-like formation we've been testing for some time now. And I was planning to go live actually earlier today, but since I already decided to sort of observe the market, see if there will be enough to talk about, or whether the market will be more so kind of boring, just like it was before. If you really want to take a real look at what happened, we haven't really done anything. We kept on testing roughly around that 54 level. Area, which actually originally, if you look back a couple of weeks ago, you all know we warned potentially will get retested. Although I've said that I don't think it will be able to and will break down around 5,200. It seems like the earnings impulse a little bit gave it a little bit of a boost. But all in all, 5,400 something we were expecting to retest potentially. Low likelihood, but still was in sort of in the potential list of outcomes. Less likely, still was. Ended up retesting that 54 level area. Now still stuck with a bunch of gaps. You can see basically the entire sort of area looks like Swiss cheese. So pretty simply put, we should be expecting a closure of these gaps. In fact, we already started to see the momentum start breaking downwards and closing partially this gap. We still have a big chunk of it left over to close, roughly around from 5358 all the way to 5289, right? Not that big of a gap, but still significant enough. Roughly around what is that? $60 ish, $60, $70 ish. So not that crazy, but at the same time, well, significant enough to spend and waste time for the market, sort of going through that process. 1 minute does not hide any, big secrets, so we're gonna kind of skip over this. In reality, it appears to be that the market is becoming slowly, after this bullshit rally, if you will, throughout the nighttime, deteriorating into oversold conditions on the 5 minutes. Given that we still have 50 minutes to go, I would not be surprised if during that 50 minutes we will actually make it down roughly to around that 53.25 level, kind of where that SMA is residing at the moment on the 5 minutes. I'm not going to be all that surprised. Confirmation on the 30-minute front. Pardon me, let's restabilize this. I was just planning to do that. What we really are seeing on the 30 minutes on the stochastic RSI is that we're having a lot more continuation of that bearish momentum. And so, hello Andrew, probably will continue squeezing downwards into oversold. Looking at, again, given that we have 50 minutes to go, 5-0, those who misheard. Sorry, I'm like, dude, are you for real? Don't ever be sorry for being late. Thank you for joining, and I appreciate your participation regardless. Don't ever be sorry, especially not for that. Thank you for joining at any time that you're available to join. I appreciate the participation and all of you boys and girls who are coming to watch and ask questions, take part in the lives. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? No, definitely don't be sorry. I appreciate your participation, as I said. So, given how we're kind of structured and given this bearish momentum, it's not all that surprising if we're going to continue breaking down towards 53.36. You can see roughly the same levels we just spoke about. We know what we ended up doing. Basically, the trick here was that I didn't think we'll be able to penetrate median to continue to the top. I said this could happen, but very unlikely. From here on out, we don't have a lot of choices other than maybe retest these very same levels around the 54, maybe once or twice, although with this bearish momentum as it stands, I would argue that we're probably continuing downwards. Also, I'm very sorry if everything is just kind of a little bit jittery on the screen and doesn't work or doesn't feel as smooth as it normally is, because of a lot of like black voodoo magic tricks that I had to pull off to make it function enough for us to be able to pull a live off. So I'm still waiting for the power supply to arrive. Once it does, things will be back to normal. Right now, we're still kind of, it is what it is, though. I mean, it's better than nothing, right? Let's get rid of some of these bullshit lines so we can at least a little bit see what it is that we're talking about, because there's plenty of mess here on the screen. Does not help us too much. I gotta tell you, all the drawings are definitely not contributing to the smoothness of this at all. Alrighty. So what are we seeing right now? We are basically retesting that 50 range on the stochastic RSI, which is actually coincides very neatly with this median right there, roughly around 53.50. Still, we have some ways down from the current level, roughly around $20 for us to complete that process and start retesting that median. Given, again, the 50, 45 minutes, well, 47 minutes at this stage that we have left, it's not going to be all that surprising if we'll end up retesting 53, given the momentum as it's pointing right now. It's not very strong. As you can see, the divergence between the two forces is not insane, but still very distinct and clear. Downwards, simple trend moving towards the median. Very simple to read. Nothing sort of special going on here. Pretty clear. Dry and boring, right? So this one, pardon me, if we will look at the current structure on the hourly, we already broke from the overbought territory, something we said. This is a very normal process. In fact, some of you know it's not going to be all that surprising if we're going to have another convergence, divergence sort of retest process here. Of course, I'm exaggerating badly, because again, my mouse is just super sensitive right now and is not really smooth to work with. But yeah, basically, if we're looking at this area, it's not going to be all that surprising if we end up retesting these levels before continuing to the downside. That's actually very a normal sort of process, roughly around the 80 level, although right now we're already below, we're entering into the body of the stochastic RSI, implying that that downwards pressure is just getting started, positively pointing towards 5,296, I would say basically 5,300-ish, that very same vicinity, or to be more precise, we have a support resistance level, a fib retracement level that is at 5,294.65. That's an exact level, so very going to be not surprising if we will end up retesting that once breaking down to the lower area. Hello, Mikey. Hi everyone. Greg, could SPX has enough force to potential reach 5,600 or 5,700 in months time frame? The media tends throwing a false into to jump into the market. Just curious. Good question. Actually, make a good question. To be honest, the way things stand right now, because you're okay, so we're not there yet. We haven't really yet gone to the time frame that you're asking about. Give me a second. We're gonna get there literally in a couple of seconds. I'm gonna see if what they're saying has any merit, or is the market itself saying otherwise. Right now we're still in the 1 hourly, so we're probably looking at the range of predictability, right? The sort of the distance of predictability that it gives us is roughly a session, right, on the hourly. If we're looking at the 4 hours, now we're starting to look at something that is closer to the daily formation. 2 candlesticks equals to a day here, basically. In this instance, we don't have pre and post market. Normally, we would have pre and post market, so all in all, it will be 5 candlesticks. But right now, since we don't have it here, and it's more of a simplified version, well, because that's how the SPX is basically, and we have the pre and post market happening in the futures market and the futures contracts. So here what you get is again paired 2 candlesticks movement, right? So the very next 2 candlesticks will be basically tomorrow. So if we're looking at the current price action, it already is starting to curve. If we consider that what it gives us potential is beyond tomorrow, is maybe something towards the weekend, so Thursday and Friday, the best we can squeeze out of this, which appears to be far more sort of in tandem with these levels that are right above that already been tested. Given some slippage, I can say that the best sort of case scenario I can still see is around 54, 40 something ish. That if you're not going to get a succession of really bad earning reports and the market becoming jittery, emotional, fearful, and just start dropping before we even ever get to penetrate the overbought territory, and it will capitalize on it to some extent. Remember, we still are moving in a very distinct, clear downwards trend, and all we're doing, instead, something that I've warned about, not being able to push through the entire way, but basically I said we might potentially see something akin to this. Instead, we end up even getting something even worse, just almost this very gradual back and forth and nauseating process just to retest that very same resistance. So we spent literally, if you look at this, we spent an entire, I would say 2.5 weeks altogether, kinda, on just retesting the very same levels, right? Again, so like if we count all the days, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 days that we ended up spending retesting the very same levels and just sort of reconfirming. I warned some of this may happen. I just warned that in my mind we already ran out of bullish momentum so badly that I didn't see or been able to forecast at that moment that the market does really have enough momentum for that 54. In my mind, we would have been stopped at around 52.40, 52.30, 52.50 maybe. But really, again, the market was able to push higher. Regardless, it does not prevent the market from sort of restabilizing and continuing to the very downside that was going earlier, because that's the very natural direction of the trend right now. And the further sort of the worse we get, the more we look at how the market is being structured, you realize, well, we're already out of bounds on the weekly and we're formulating a new channel, right? Hopefully it will give it to me. Give it to me. Give me my channel. Hello. Give me the channel. Yeah, it's not doing all that well. Let's see if I can get it working on a different time frame. Let's see. maybe here. Come on, give me my channel. Come on. That's actually the picture we posted earlier today in the morning in the community. Those who don't know, by the way, maybe a good mention, maybe a good opportunity to mention that. By the way, I do have now 3 spots. Another student has finally finished the academy, and so now, believe it or not, now there's another spot, and yeah, definitely use the opportunity because these spots are usually been taken like hotcakes, and so don't miss out. Well, I'm not really getting the channel I wanted for some reason. I'm not. Oh, thank you. So that was the 4 hours, and sort of the point that I was trying to make is that we're already out of bounds and currently retesting what was floor as a ceiling. That's basically where we ended up testing earlier this morning. You can see the failing point, exactly how we've attempted and subsequently failed. What did I just do? That's not what I wanted. And so what happened here is that we've tested this sort of junction with the various forces, whether it's the bottom of the diagonal upwards trend that we've slipped out of, whether it's the ceiling of the current downwards channel that we're working within the framework of. And if you realize what's going on here is that we're gradually spilling over, right? We can actually start to see how that spillover is occurring again, the same way it happened on the previous sort of trend when we've done that, right? And we can start already seeing how the spillover, here it is, sort of how it does that. Very similarly, we're starting to have a spillover in that area. You can see the momentum is peaking out on the daily. Again, we're having that little squeeze before we move into the body, and so that happens to be already out of bounds of the channel. You can see we're formulating again, as we said, a new channel, right? That is, we were slowly transitioning into establishing the bottoms and the supports and resistances of, and as you can see, this trend appears to be a lot more steep to the downside than the one we've been moving through so far. Of course, may be retested further down the line by moving towards 5300, but then again, the big problem is where are you going to get the momentum to do that, since, well, the only suspicious thing that we're still having around here is the weekly, which is kind of pointing to the upside, but slowly starting to overturn right above here. We kind of had some hints, and if we think about the momentum that we will see in the upcoming sessions, how will that print on this? This, of course, will curve right over where it is, roughly around the 20-30 area on the stochastic RSI, and of course, in still oversold or sold conditions, and so expected to continue to the downside, which we're testing, of course, the previous levels of 5100, 5000, which resides right here, right in between, and 4800. So basically the whole idea here is that the market is signaling that towards the end of the month it's far more likely for the market to move downwards. Why are we so certain of it? Don't forget our monthly. Our monthly is the most sort of detrimental one out of them all, that really points out the severity of this current downwards pressure, which, as you can see here, of course, still is very extensive, very serious, moving into the oversold territory, which signals an acceleration in the downwards pressure, easily allowing us to complete back down to 4800, 5000, retest, and potentially even lower. But that is for the current time being. We still are retesting current levels, so it's not going to be all that surprising if we, like we said, as boring as it may be, we kind of consolidating into this sort of wedge-like formation before continuing the actual breakdown and establishing these lows closer towards the end of the month. As we know, we still have 5 days, not 7. We actually have 5 days left over. It says 5 days, but yeah, not including weekends and stuff. So basically, we have here 5 days left over. Within these 5 days, I can easily see how we complete at least part of that process, getting us closer to 5,000 towards the end of the month, and beginning the next month with a steep, quick movement towards 48, 47, and retesting back to 5,000, retesting back to 48, 49, sort of back and forth, and then eventually towards the next month, or maybe even sooner, starting to another breakdown process closer to this edge, or maybe even earlier, right? Giving way towards 4,500, roughly around that vicinity. That is where we're headed, if you ask my opinion, right after we finish establishing 48.47 will be, well, no, not there. I kind of exaggerated. If anything, it will be, pardon me. Actually, let's just do it this way, right? Like so. That's going to be the real vicinity to where we're going to end up retesting. As you can see, this, for example, was testing above at some point, and just to retest and break down, get rejected back to the bottom of the channel. So here we're going to be residing and retesting that very same level. That's it. That's it. So basically, in my mind, no, it's very unlikely, Mikey, your question, because simply the momentum does not really is not permissive for that. There is some suspicion still. We're looking at following that weekly. But as you can tell, as we said, if all that bearish momentum that is already in the system on the smaller time frames, we've kind of been through this before, will be printing, and of course it will be, it will inevitably have a bearish impact on this current structure throughout the following sessions. And as it's going to become more bearish, this will basically cross over and will signal that the weekly is also becoming bearish, aligning most of the larger time frames, pointing steeply to the downside. And by that moment, of course, we'll be closer towards the end of the month, potentially, or the beginning of next one. I'm not trying to time it. That's something we don't do here. I'm not saying that the market will do that by the end of the month. I'm saying it has some potential of doing that based upon the current structure, and it may take a little bit longer than usual. May actually slip into next month, into the first week of next month, and only then start that process. As it stands right now, it's a lot more bearish than bullish. I mean, because if you think about it, in reality, we haven't got anything that we have not suspected to potentially to happen. That 5,400, we spoke about this literally 2 to 3 weeks ago. Again, I had my own suspicions and my own sort of sentiment towards whether it's going to succeed or not. I've appeared to be slightly off this time around, if you will, by saying that we're not going to reach that high, and we have. Suspicion portion seems not enough to boost upwards weekly time frame. It's more heading to more bearish. Absolutely, yes, Mikey, very, very good. Look, that's my sentiment. That's how I'm reading it. But before we draw any conclusions, we have to look at face value what we're seeing. More so, don't forget this very distinct downwards trend that we've been seeing for some time. It's not going to be surprising if this is going to play along its part. But at the current time, we have to be physically objective that, well, yeah, it is what it is, that we're still bullish on the weekly, and until it confirms otherwise, we look at it and wait for the squeeze out, the waste of that bullish momentum, as we said, may take some time, right? And in fact, may take some time, which I hope that's not the case, right? Remember, it's not just going to be moving into that corner diagonally like so. If anything, it's going to be very nauseating, retest until we eventually get rejected by it to the downside, which potentially going to drag us out all the way to July. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. That's not something I can see happening. I mean, with all the respect, I think we're basically ready to break that level at around 52, continuing to 5,000, and yeah, so a lot more bearish. Correct. Don't worry, boys and girls. I know it's a little bit annoying that like I'm really struggling with the system to try and make these lives and whatnot. Soon. It's a matter of days until I get the new power supply, install it, and everything will be back on track. The one-on-one sessions will be back on track. That was wrong. The members meetings and all of that beautiful stuff will be back on track. For the time being, please bear with me. I know it's unpleasant and it feels like I'm struggling and almost complaining to some extent. It really is unpleasant and really is jittery and stuttery and just unpleasant to work with right now. But then again, it is something. At least we got it to work to some extent. There we go. We were testing the 100 on NVIDIA, something we've predicted. Gold was on the downslope, now kind of more so flat. Nothing else surprising. We said gold probably will be testing even lower over time. Tesla 252 within the framework of everything. It's not all that crazy. In fact, I was just pointing out how we expected it to be a lot more bullish. Well, in reality, that's really what we got. I know there is no valid assumption that's going to do what I just deleted. No, it does not have the necessary momentum at the time being, although this channel is pointing to the upside. It doesn't mean it will actually come to fruition. In fact, if we look at most of the time frames, right? Like we have the weekly still problematic exactly like on our SPX, right? So that's why we're following so closely. But notice that this weekly still remains in oversold conditions. Basically, all that bullish momentum that is coming through on the SPX is not enough to lift up Tesla, for example. And while simultaneously on the monthly, it still is extremely bearish. So right now, if you ask my opinion, we're still hurtling towards a retest of 5,200, right? I'll just remove some of that crap and turn a little cycles on the little days. But yeah, nothing special. Now we can see what I'm talking about. So we're running towards that level. Towards that 52. Jesus, I can't. It's just so difficult to draw. But yeah, we're basically moving towards that junction right there, the diagonal of the channel, and of course the flat. Jesus. That line, yeah. I'm sorry, my mouse is so damn sensitive, and I really need to get my settings all sorted out. Wait, 6,000? Jesus, how did that get to that? Okay, I think. Wait, is that default? Maybe that makes sense. Okay, that feels about right. Okay, that feels about right. Okay, cool. Okay. So, basically what we're saying here is pretty simple, that we still expect the market to continue to the downside. And again, with regards to Tesla, it's not all that surprising that it basically moves in tandem with the indices, and it appears to be like it's mainly bearish for the upcoming months, if you will. Even with some retests over these levels, all in all, we're still going to end up, it appears to be roughly around the 158.54 level, sorry, 1544.54. 0.44, sorry, not 54, 154.44. I'm gonna be retesting these levels eventually down the line. What else? Plug is pretty boring. It's actually been having quite a horrible day, as you can see. I would be gladly picking up more, but now I'm so hyper focused on getting more SQQs, simply because they're on such a beautiful discount, 35.65, and as we're expecting the market to slide downwards, it's not going to be all that surprising if we're going to get a boost back in the price, giving us higher levels. What else? Strong support, and the market will bounce from 4,800 to 5,000. Absolutely, that's kind of the idea, Mikey, that we'll be retesting back and forth once eventually we get down that path. Is Meta same way? That's a good question. You know what? Let's try and see if we can see what Meta is doing. You know what? Is good here. So let's do Meta. Let's see what Meta is saying. Oh yeah, that's so much better. So much smoother. That was too sharp earlier. Like 6,000 something. I don't know how did I get that high. All right. So what are we seeing here? Let's see. Currently pushing downwards, so within the framework of that makes sense. So we're just kind of here at the top, pushing even lower. Let's see, what do we see on the 4 hours? 4 hours slowly becoming bearish given the structure. Basically, we're curving right here. You can almost see the correlation between the price action and the indicator. Right, a little bit more bullish given the fact that we are kind of here and we have still room to try and retest that 526. Now we're getting to the meat and potatoes. Yeah, your weekly is pretty much exactly like your Tesla's is, and the monthly is exactly like Tesla's is, and how we expect the overall market to play out and continue dragging you lower towards 438 as a minimum to create that secondary shoulder that will be created within that wedge, probably eventually resulting in a continuation of the trend. But for the time being, don't be surprised if we're going to end up retesting actually that wedge from 4,500 back and forth to roughly around 500 and a bit, back and forth, back and forth. Not going to be all that surprising. You can kind of maybe even lower, maybe not that high, maybe just kind of flat 500, right? Simply given that you have that's the nearest sort of strong level that might pose enough of a force to lock you in within that wedge. But overall, still downwards. I mean, downwards pressure. That's 440, whatever that is, 450 there. Greg, about a triple Q, curious to ask, could reach over 100-ish price level once S&P. That's a very difficult question, Mikey. I'd rather not discuss this. It's not that it's completely unpredictable. No, that would be incorrect. It's just that it's far too premature to try and determine the correlative levels. I do have some things in mind, right? That, of course, my assessment goes to what I think that will be the relative equal number when we're going to hit the 33 area. That's a good question, Mikey. Very good question, actually. You're killing it today with the questions. Good job. But it's not calculated exactly the way you would expect it, in fact. And it's more so a guesstimate area simply because the market will accelerate and we will see that pressure getting interpreted on our side as very bullish. In fact, we may see these rallies of, again, 15 to 20% on the SQQQ within a single day in succession. I've already seen some of them. It's just that they usually are getting they sort of balance back to the market, but we're about to see a lot of these not rebalance back to the market, but sort of stay as they are. The following sessions are going to be very volatile, if you ask me, based upon what we're seeing, right? And I think, based upon if I'm seeing it correctly, we will see a significant benefit on the SQQQ. And so I would say that, in fact, the levels you're talking about are a lot lower than the actual expectation, right? I mean, in my mind, it can get a lot higher when it comes to being equal to the 3,300 on the SPX. A lot higher. You're closer now, warmer. But again, we're not doing that. You see, Mikey, this may result in people getting disappointed and building a whole price target for that, which is incorrect at this stage. We're far enough to say honestly that we're not close enough to determine the accuracy of these levels. Mikey, talk to me in the community on the Discord. Another thing, I mean, definitely, in my mind, I highly recommend you switch over from the YouTube thing because they're not really all that great. Hello, everybody. Hello, nannies. Good to see you. Hit the like, everyone. Absolutely. Subscribe, ring the bell, move it to the notifications to everything so you'll be always up to speed. Although, again, this week is a little bit dry for us, and I'm sorry I'm not able to do as many community member meetings or lives and recordings and all that, simply because my computer is really struggling with it. You guys don't really see it, but it's horrible. I swear it is freaking horrible. And I mean, what you're seeing is that sort of outcome after the hours of work or trying to find older drivers and trying to rebalance things and whatnot. So it's definitely not the final version. Soon we're gonna get everything up and running. I believe by the end of this week, hopefully, so the following days, or maybe by the beginning of next one, and we should be back on track in no time. Regardless of, don't miss out right now. I still have 3 spots to sign up, and since not a lot will be moving in terms of students, definitely use the opportunity to sign up so you'll be independent. Actually, it doesn't matter whether you're a trader, an investor, long-term, short-term, especially the long-term, who really underestimate the importance and don't understand why it's so important to know technical analysis. So well, you'll come to understand the cycles and the actual forces at play and how long you may be long-terming, right? Just letting you know, because this thing may be a lot longer than you expect, and you better understand it instead of just kind of guessing, right? and it comes down to all individual assets, to all portfolios. It doesn't matter what, if you're more into tech, healthcare, biotech. None of it matters. The market is the market, right? If the soil is poisoned, your individual plant or flower will not be doing well. Surprise, weird, right? So yeah, you have to be knowledgeable and being able to understand what these cycles are, how they work, what the measurements, sort of what the measurement tools are, and no one expects you to be able to analyze to the point where you predict every, the movement down to the cent. For example, you can see the market sort of can slip out and get it a little bit more excessive than expected. Who cares? Those who were able to predict this bottom definitely did a lot better than those who were here convinced that the market will be going higher. It's pretty simple, right? Those who knew how to capitalize on this as well and so to re-enter here. It doesn't matter whether you re-enter. This is very important. People are like, oh, you have to re-enter here at the bottom. No, you don't. DCA into this at the bottom. That's the right way. Just don't DCA from here. DCAing from here is mathematically wrong. That's it is what it is, right? Which, by the way, we're going to have extensive discussions in the community in the following sessions. Definitely join Patreon. It is still discounted because my computer was just, breaking down throughout the weekend, and I was far more busy with that. So the prices are still 50% discounted. They will be discounted all the way to the end of the month. If you're not yet a Patreon member, subscribe. That's the only way you can actually get to be a Discord member and come and hang out with us and be up to speed about all these conversations and discussions. And you'll know when, what we expect, see the charts, see the discussions, participate in them, of course, all that beautiful stuff. The One-on-One Academy, 3 spots. First come, first serve. Don't those who will, of course, wait for longer will miss out. Windows that are available, windows of time, and then we'll have to choose whatever is available, not whatever they feel they really find comfortable, right? So definitely sign up, otherwise you're gonna miss out. That's it, boys and girls. I think we've covered everything for today. There's not much really to say about the current price action. It's kind of tame and boring, all in all. If you objectively observe, we've been moving sideways for some time now, and this is nothing but ordinary Monday, Tuesday, whatever kind of deal that we had. And so pretty boring with a continuation of this downwards pressure. We will remain locked into that very same channel. As you can see right here, we're still moving downwards very distinctively, right? And so locked sideways. It is what it is. I mean, I wish I could say something more exciting. For right now, it's a nothing burger. What is exciting, that the exciting stuff is around the corner. It is right there. It's just right about to happen. And people say, oh, we didn't know. Oh, that's so weird. Panicking and shit. And I'll be posting my surprised, my fake surprised face, right? That sort of thing. That's it. We are done for today, boys and girls. We'll be back on track next week. I really do apologize for the inconvenience and all the postponed stuff we had this week. All the members had free stuff, all that. Usually, I mean, I have it done for you in advance. I had some members meetings. But brothers and sisters, have you accepted Jesus into your life, into your heart and soul? Yeah. Cheeses. Like Gouda and other wonderful cheeses. That's it, boys and girls. See you in the community. See you on the Patreon. See you on the Discord. See you on the next live. Don't forget to join us. Don't forget to ask about the Academy. Otherwise, you'll miss out. And you will not be independent. You'll be dependent like the rest of the people who are following and, viewing all these talking heads and end up screwing themselves over in the long run. Instead of taking the opportunity to actually capitalize and get out of this craziness that's happening right now, people are staying around, right? Because they don't understand the overall cycle. They don't understand what is to come on the grand scheme of things, and they definitely don't look at the quarterly, nor do they actually look at the 6-monthly chart, nor do they understand how severe this entire downtrend will become. And when I say 3,300, they just shrug it off and think it's all nonsense, not realizing it's a very, very serious thing that will get us locked into a severe downtrend for the following probably 2 years, maybe even 3. that's it. We're done for today. See you in the next one, boys and girls. Whoever stayed to watch this definitely benefited.